In the shadows of the multiverse, where secrets and darkness intertwine, one name evokes the deepest terror: Vecna, the Whispered One. Once a mortal wizard consumed by an insatiable hunger for power, Vecna transcended his own death to become a lich of unimaginable might. His very existence defies the bounds of mortality, and his influence seeps through the cracks of reality itself, possessing the power to paralyze with a mere touch and warp reality to his will. Vecna and his legacy endures through his dark artifacts. The hand and eye of Vecna, remnants of his torment and mastery. Those who dare uncover his dark secrets risk drawing his malevolent gaze upon themselves. Beware, for the darkness of Vecna never truly fades. It lingers, waiting to ensnare the unwary. Now, hearing just a snippet of lore from Vecna is enough to tell you that this creature, this lich, is a horrific being and very popular in media. I've noticed recently with Stranger Things. Dead by Daylight has him now. One thing that many players that play D&D like about Vecna is he's a lich. Liches are cool bad guys. But it's hard to work one into your campaign sometimes. So DM Dungeon Mastery comes to the rescue because this is going to be the first episode in a new series I'm making about me making custom magic items for your games. We're gonna go over this item that I have crafted for my campaign a couple months ago. It's probably been about a year now actually, but I just finally put it into words on my Discord channel. So after this video goes live, you'll be able to take this item, put it in your games, and I'll give you some plot hooks for it also within the video. So this is the intro. Let's get into the item without further ado. Okay, so here we are. So what is this item, you ask? Well, this item is called the Diabologue of the Rotted Tower. And I believe one of Vecna's aliases is Lord of the Rotted Tower. I believe it's somewhere that he lives on whatever plane of existence he is on in whatever story he's a part of. So he moves around a lot from what I know about his lore. But anyways, let's get into this book. So this is a surefire way to directly insert Vecna's influence, or at least his presence, into your D&D world. So what the book is an ancient tome. It's malevolent. It's bound in desiccated flesh and inked with the blood of sacrifices. It tells the tale of Vecna's tremendous powers, including how to become a lich. And then I have just a basic in-game description for you. It is a large black lock bounds this book shut, and the lock gently wafts an eerie green smoke. While standing within 15 feet of the book, it echoes in the minds of those nearby. Eerie whispers can be heard, hinting at the secrets within. Opening the book is only possible for the one attuned to it. The book's pages are filled with dark symbols that seem to writhe and pulse with dark energy. This is weirdly similar to that book from Baldur's Gate, but I swear to you that I did not steal the idea from that. I came up with this before I even played the game. But this is something to drop into your world in a crypt, in an old wizard's tower, somewhere where an ancient legendary tome would be found. You could put a quest hook around it. You could say, when my players found this book, There was a wizard's tower. It was made of pure crystal, and it appeared in the woods one day, and their companion had found it and mentioned it to them, and as they went to go look for it, it was gone. The whole tower was gone. Eventually, a couple sessions later, they see the same tower that their companion did, and they eventually find their way in. They go through essentially what is hell to get to the top of this tower, and they find this book in the second to last room in a case on the wall that's just left open, seemingly unguarded by anything. And when they went to take it, nothing stopped them. They came to find out that the wizard that was in control of this tower had long since turned into a Nothic. So this book is cursed, just so you all know, in case you guys like cursed magic items or you dislike cursed magic items. This doesn't have to be an item that's in the player's hand, but you could do a Lord of the Rings style, where they take the book and they have to destroy it because it's evil and your BBEG wants it. So, in the next portion here, we're going to get into what it actually does. I was just trying to give you some backstory on the book. So, here we go. It's a wondrous item, book. It's legendary, which means there's potentially multiple of them, but it's incredibly rare. It requires attunement by a spellcaster, so they don't have to be a wizard, they just have to know how to cast spells in order to attune to this. And while attuned to the grimoire, the wielder can cast Inflict Wounds at will, so they can cast a 3rd level spell as a cantrip, basically. No spell slot required. The level of the spell increases based on how many hit die the character sacrificed to the book, up to 9th level. Yes, you can cast Inflict Wounds at 9th level as a cantrip. Now, before you freak out and you say, that's too overpowered, there's no way, that's a joke. That has to be a joke. It's not, but you're going to see what happens, okay? Once every 6 hours, 6 minutes, and 6 seconds, the attuned wielder can cast Animate Dead without expending a spell slot. The spell requires no verbal or somatic components, and then it says the caster does not recognize how this spell was cast, only that they willed it. Meaning, something else cast Animate Dead for them, but they just don't know it yet. Anyways, back to the Inflict Wounds scare. I understand that sounds terrifying. There's a reason why other creatures want this book. It's deadly. It's incredibly powerful, but that's not the reason why it's incredibly powerful. That's just a little something, to trickle in here. But you're gonna figure out something really quickly about this book, that it's not all it's chalked up to be. So we're going to get into the charges. So this book does have charges. It starts off with 0 charges, no matter where you find it. But it holds a maximum of 10. It regains 1 charge daily at midnight, provided someone is attuned to it. You may choose to expend a hit die to infuse the book with an additional charge by focusing on it during a long rest, not benefiting from the long rest. Hit die spent this way are permanently lost, only restored by a wish spell. So there's your caveat to Inflict Wounds. Okay, so if they wanted to pump that up to a 9th level spell that they're casting as a cantrip, they're spending a ton of hit die to do that, and those hit die never come back. They're sacrificing part of their very soul in order to do that. Now, here's how you can spend the charges, okay? First part, Forbidden Knowledge. You can expend 2 charges to read from the book and gain advantage on intelligence-based ability checks for the next 24 hours. Ensnare Essence. You can expend 4 charges to cast the Soul Cage spell without the need for components. 5 charges. You can expend 5 charges to cast Contact Other Plane with Vecna as the contacted entity only. And that also comes with downsides too, because Contact Other Plane can make you go insane. So keep that in mind also. And then the final thing, this is why some evil necromancer or an evil king or somebody evil in your world would want this book, okay? Lich's Bargain. You can expend 10 charges to attempt a forbidden ritual to become a lich. This ritual requires a secluded location, 24 hours of uninterrupted concentration, and a potion costing 50,000 gold pieces, which you must drink at midnight to instantaneously kill you. And additionally, you need a phylactery worth at least 1,500 gold pieces that has an interior that can be carved with magical designs filled with silver. So that's going to be the first part of this book here. So already you can kind of see, why would somebody want this book? Well, they want to become a lich, obviously, or they want to speak with Vecna directly. It's something that's imposing. It's already got this creepy background to it. If it's tied in with Vecna, this incredibly dangerous necromancer, somebody could even be trying to summon him with this book. So we're going to get into the next part. So if you think it's as easy as that to become a lich, it's not, because after the ritual, the character, after it's all said and done, has to succeed on a DC 25 Intelligence Arcana check during the ritual. On a failure, they die, and their soul is destroyed beyond magical recovery, even by a wish spell. Now you might be saying that kind of just sounds like more homebrew broken nonsense. Well, it's not. It's like that for a lore reason, because if the DC was something like an 18, that means a lot more wizards would be able to just easily become a lich. It has to be something incredibly difficult. And player characters can stack bonuses also if you really wanted one of them to become a lich, which it's possible with this book, but not necessarily encouraged. But then again, D&D is one of those games where you can run crazy characters like that. So if a character really wants to become a lich and you have a necromancer player who wants to live out that fantasy of being a lich, here's your item to do that. It just is very risky and very deadly if they fail this check. Now you can change this, obviously, if you don't like that. You can absolutely change whatever you want. This is just what I made for it. This is how it was in my game. And my players didn't go anywhere near this. They wanted to destroy it, actually. So, let's get into the curse part of this book. So, the first thing that's going to be very important about this is you do not tell the players that this book is cursed. Okay? You leave that to what their interpretation of the book would be. It looks like a cursed object, obviously, but it could also just be an evil object. So, upon attuning to this, the creature is cursed by Vecna's influence. If the creature reads from the book for the first time, the creature must make a DC 25 Intelligence saving throw. On a failure, dark energy leaps from the pages and sinks into the chest, sending a cold shiver through the body, and they gain the Arcane Blight curse. So that's anytime they open the book and they start reading from it, that triggers. They have to make a DC 25 Intelligence saving throw. So that's either they have to roll a natural 20 or they have to have a really big Intelligence saving throw modifier to succeed that. So that's 5 points off of a quote-unquote impossible skill check. Now let's get into what Arcane Blight is, because I'm almost positive most of you haven't heard of it because it's a little bit obscure. But remember when I mentioned the Nothic? So this is the information on Arcane Blight. I have recommendations for how you should do this. So if you want somebody to identify what this curse is, so if somebody witnesses the wizard open the book and this dark energy leap off the book onto them, I am recommending a DC 25 to 30 for an Arcana check. And the DC is high because this is an esoteric, specific, rare curse only crafted by Vecna, and is hidden throughout the multiverse for mages searching for ways to gain his power. So Vecna leaves these little traps on purpose because he finds it amusing when wizards and mages trying to become like him fail miserably and become his mindless minions. So how does Arcane Blight work? It's a 3-day progression system. On the first day, The victim appears physically unaffected, but experiences overwhelming feelings of isolation and paranoid delusions. Trust becomes an elusive concept, rendering the victim unable to rely on those around them. Under absolutely no circumstances does the victim trust or believe anyone unless a spell such as Calm Emotions has been cast before bargaining. So that's the first thing. If you know anything about Nothics, this is the progress and the stages into becoming a Nothic. And I'll put pictures on screen of what a Nothic is in case you've never heard of one. So that's the first 2 days. Now, on the third day, the symptoms manifest rapidly. All hair falls out, vision fades until complete blindness occurs, skin warps and melts, forming thick, jagged, leathery hide. The spine warps, forcing the victim into a hunched position. The victim loses all memories, save for one false one. There is a cure for their ailment. And I have a little note that says irreversibility. If Remove Curse is not cast within 3 days of contracting the Arcane Blight, the curse becomes irreversible. Only divine intervention or a wish spell can remove the curse. And then I have just a little thing on what happens when they transform into a Nothic. If the curse remains unremoved for 3 days, the afflicted creature undergoes a horrific transformation into a Nothic. The change is both physical and mental. The creature's body contorts into a gaunt, emaciated form with a single bulging eye in the center of its forehead. Its skin becomes pale, mottled, jagged, leathery hide, and it grows long, skeletal-like fingers. The transformation is agonizing, with the creature's screams echoing through the darkness as its humanity fades away. And then it's kind of up to you how you rule that, but I would say they lose all levels of wizard because Nothics cannot cast spells. But if you don't want to do that, you can figure out your own lore way in your world how it would work, but really they should lose all their levels in wizard if this happens. And it's mean and it's cruel, but it's a pseudo player character death in a way. So here's the thing. It's not a normal curse that can just be easily removed by Remove Curse. It's going to require extra steps. So Arcane Blight is an ancient curse and requires an additional check with the caster's spellcasting ability modifier, which does not include proficiency when casting Remove Curse. On a success, the curse is removed. On a failure, the DC to remove the curse increases by 1. So the cleric only has so many spell slots for Remove Curse, and every time he fails this check, the DC keeps going up. Eventually it's going to be impossible if they keep failing. I'm recommending the starting DC for this to be 20 to 25, and I have a reminder in there that says if it were easy to get around this curse, then every mage with no moral compass would become a lich. And then identifying the curse, so this is if somebody casts Identify on the book immediately as soon as they pick it up. It requires an additional check with the caster's spellcasting ability modifier, the same exact way as removing the curse has. So if they succeed on this DC, the book is identified along with the curse. If they fail on this DC, they identify the book and its magical properties and how it works, but they don't have any idea that there's a curse with it. And then I have information for if the character did become a lich. I think I have something in here also for post-ritual information. Yeah, so there's a whole thing that goes into like what happens if the character actually manages to become a lich. So if they can succeed that DC 25 Arcana check during the ritual, they can become a lich, but then they're essentially inactive for 9 days after they become a lich, and then they become a true lich. So if you drop this into your world, this is a lot of... You could make an entire campaign based around just this item, especially a campaign about Vecna or something undead that wants this book to become a lich. It could be an evil noble, it could be a bandit, it could be you fight a bunch of orcs and you find this in their cave where a bunch of them are just laying around husks of their former selves, just mummified orc bodies because they've tried to become the lich, not knowing they have to be smart, and orcs aren't smart typically. Yeah, so that was my magic item that I created. I hope you guys like it. It will be in my Discord under the Dungeon Mastery resources under magic items. So this is the first out of all of the other magic items that I may create in the future if this has good feedback. So let me know what you guys think. Go onto the Discord, take a look at it for yourself. If you have any questions, ask me. If you find any mistakes that don't make sense, let me know. I can fix them immediately. I will have a link in the description for the artist that made the artwork for this book for me. You guys should go support and check them out. Very good artist. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being patient with me. This is DM Dungeon Mastery, and I will see you guys on the next one.